Joined now by Justine Greening, former Conservative Education Secretary, who co-founded the Social Mobility Pledge. Thank you for joining us. And this pledge is a coalition of over 500 businesses that globally employ more than 5 million people. What sort of opportunities does this new strategy offer to you and the people you work with?
Well, I think the Levelling Up white paper does really matter, because for some time now, through this work on the Social Mobility Pledge, and we've got even more businesses involved now, it's very much been about saying to businesses and indeed public sector employers, you need to have a levelling up plan that shows how your opportunities are going to drive levelling up across the country. They've all been putting those plans in place. They're working with supply chains. They're looking, as Steve says, at their apprenticeships. They're really working out how they can help employability skills, so that people who are perhaps less able to get roles are in a position to do work in their companies. They're looking at how they can improve progression. So it's not just about people getting into jobs, how they can then be businesses where people get on in their careers as well. So all this time, I think for all of us, we've really been waiting for the government to set out its plan on levelling up alongside those levelling up plans that many employers are now coming out with. And the structure we'd always had was one called the Levelling Up Goals, where we'd broken down the Levelling Up Challenge and different businesses really thinking about where they particularly can make a difference on levelling up. It very much mirrors the approach the government is now taking with its 12 missions. They very much dovetail onto those Levelling Up Goals. So I welcome this plan, but I think, as Steve is saying, we now need to see if there's that ambition there and that investment there to really shift the dial on a country that has had endemic inequality of opportunity.
It doesn't sound like there is any more money, though, from what we're hearing. It's going to be a reprioritising of funds. So isn't it doomed to failure?
Well, I think Michael goes right that actually it is, if you could spend your way out of this problem, governments over the years would have done that. It's not as simple as just more investment. I think the challenge for government is to make sure that if it's really going to close those gaps that open up in early years, right from the very beginning, in the school years, it needs to work back from how you close those gaps to the investment it's going to need to be able to do that. I really welcome today the launch of effectively more opportunity areas called education investment zones. These are places that will be not just working inside schools to improve outcomes, but helping support learning through working in communities outside of schools. That will be important investment for those areas that get it. But I think there's a general question, and we need to look through this huge white paper that's just been launched to really get a sense of whether there's enough ambition in it in terms of closing those gaps, and then whether the investment really is going to be there. Obviously, Rishi Sunak announced a lot at the budget last October, whether that really is going to be enough to actually shift the dial. But whatever government does, I think we all need to understand that that's part of how we level up Britain. But fundamentally, we need all of our employers to be open to that wider talent pool and really making sure they're reaching out into it, not just going for perhaps the same kinds of people from the same kinds of elite universities, when actually there's a lot of other fantastic talent out there that they're missing.
Justine Greening, former Education Secretary, co-founder of the Social Mobility Pledge. Thank you for your time.